All right, all right. Good evening, and thank you so much for tuning in to another installment of Your Money Matters Financial Empowerment Show. I am your host, Letha Thornton. Happy to be with you this evening to help you to be financially free in 2023. We've had some amazing guests, amazing experts, really just helping us to get our money roll right. All things money, all things finance, as myself and CMP Radio seek to move the culture forward as it pertains to financial literacy and empowerment. You have tuned in and you've watched us talk about everything from money mindset to taxes to life insurance to investments to crypto to business credit, personal credit. And today, amongst all those shows, we're going to be talking with a very special guest. And she's going to be talking with us today about budgeting, right? As we seek to get our money world together, having a budget is really, really important if you're trying to build a strong financial house so that you have the proper disciplines necessary to do so. So we have joining us today, Miss Alyssa Costanza. Are you with us today?
Yes, I am. I'm here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. I'm like more than happy to have connected with you. I find so many amazing people that I network with on social media, and you were referred and recommended for someone who knows that, that I'm doing different show topics. So I'm super excited to have you here. Just tell the audience a little bit about yourself. I know our show is definitely going to be brief today because it is the end of the tax season, and I
It
know
is.
you're up against the gun. But I can't thank you enough for taking some time out to spend with us. So just tell us a little bit about you.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, it is a very hectic day today for all of you last minute filers. So it's extremely crazy. If you owe, you need to file an extension. But a little bit about me is that I'm Elissa Costanza. I am a tax and credit repair specialist. How I got involved in my industry is really a few years ago. I was looking to purchase my first home, and I had no idea about credit. I had no idea the process to buying a home, nothing like that. And
Mhm.
all I knew was, you had to have a certain credit score and 2 years work experience and to get a mortgage. So I started researching a lot of things and I realized I didn't know anything about credit. And I applied for first time homebuyer grants and I started working on my credit. I saw a 69-point increase in a month. I
Mhm.
qualified for a 14,000, I think it was 14,000 at that time. And then it jumped up for down payment assistance. And then I just got super excited. I told all of my family and friends, like, if you just work on your credit and do this and do that. You could become a homeowner. And I just fell in love. So for about 5 going on 6 years, I've been in my entrepreneurial journey, and I've been doing taxes a while. So I just love to help people and educate them on their money and their finances, and just helping to make a difference in their lives.
Very nice. That's beautiful. And it is no greater experience than your own experience that you can use to help others. So that's absolutely fantastic. And that's so many people. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to put these things in place. I don't know what kind of funding I should be going after. Just so many different things that people who want to do better don't necessarily know where to start. So
Right.
that's absolutely huge. Tell us one fun fact about you.
One fun fact. I'm a germaphobe.
Oh,
I'm a
uh-oh.
germaphobe. I'm that person, like, when I come in the house, I Lysol the shoes down. I take a shower. I don't like to be in my bed with outside clothes. I don't open door handles with my hands. Like I use my coat or like a tissue or something.
Mhm. Okay.
Yes, I wipe everything down.
Fantastic. So COVID was definitely not your friend.
No. And I always say, like, to people, like, before I'm like, this is no offense to you. I just can't afford to get sick. And I wipe everything down. Mhm.
Wonderful. That yeah, you would hate working where I work, but that's another topic for another day. So we're gonna get right into it, and we are going to be sharing with the audience some key budgeting tips and strategies. This may be a one-part show or a two-part show. We're not really sure. We'll see how the flow goes. But
Mhm.
tell me why is it important to have a budget?
It's so important to have a budget because a lot of times people think that they don't have the money when in actuality they just mismanage it and they overspend and they don't realize where their money is going to. And a lot of the times it's not the fact that you don't have the money, it's just you're just not saving and you don't know where it goes to. Like an example is that I do taxes, and a lot of times people take their tax refund and they blow it. So,
Mhm.
and it's none of my business where your money goes to. But this year, for my clients, I said I would like you to be intentional about your goals. We've been talking about you getting a house, you getting a car, you doing something. And I would like to see you accomplish those goals. And I had a money savings challenge with a budgeting sheet actually
Nice.
this year for this season. So a lot of the times it's not the fact that you don't have the money, you just don't manage it properly. And if you can't manage $100 or $1,000, you can't manage what's to come in the future.
Absolutely. Misappropriation of funds, right? Where you
Yes.
you get money and you like, I don't even know what I did with the money. Like I don't know where it went.
Like where'd
I
it
got
go?
Where did it go? I know
Yeah.
I had this, but where in the world did it go? As I used
Hmm.
to be around people that be like, it's if I break a 20, it's over, right? Because I don't know where the change went. I don't
Right.
know where if I break 100, I don't know where things went. I have no idea. And it's very very easy to misappropriate the money that you have, because
Mhm.
you're just blowing it on any and everything. So that was good that you did that with your clients. Definitely shows that you care more about them than just doing business with them. You care about them
Right.
being intentional.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So who should be budgeting?
Just about everyone. I made a budgeting sheet that's, for everyone, and I'm coming out with something that will be available before the holiday season because,
Mhm.
once again, a lot of people have no idea where their money goes to. I'll give you an example. I went through some things. I could speak for myself, and just to be transparent, I went through a few things. An example, I'm sorry, I had hair in my face. An example is like, 2 years ago when I lost my dad, I was going through like crazy anxiety, depression, things like that. I was making money, but I'm like, where's my money going to? And I
Mhm.
realized what I was spending my money on. And I'm like, Elissa, it's not the fact you don't have the money. It's just that, what's the word I'm looking for? You're just spending it.
Emotionally spending.
Yeah, just spending it. And I had to say, like, I had to take the cover off my eyes and be like, wow, I had to say no to things. I had to discipline myself. Like the key is like really disciplining yourself and being intentional about your goals. So for example, I'm looking to buy a house.
Mhm.
Can't touch this money that's in the savings account. I have to pay down credit cards,
Mhm.
you know, and that's what it is because if we keep repeating the same cycle over and over, we're not going to get anywhere. Mhm.
Absolutely. So, that kind of brings me to like a part B, the emotional spending,
Mhm.
right? Where we hear about people that maybe emotionally overeat or undereat,
Mhm.
but that is a really, really dangerous thing when you're emotionally spending because you're going through something. You hear people call it retail therapy or
Mhm.
something like that, and then you look up and you're like, uh-oh, what happened. And
Mhm.
a lot of the times it's money that you can't get back.
Right.
Just talk about, you don't have to necessarily talk about your journey as far as that, but like impulse spending.
Impulse, right.
Yeah. So, did you find yourself just buying any and everything, or were you focused on one particular thing, or you were just throwing money out the window? What would you say?
I would say, well, it was for good and bad reasons. It wasn't just like I was shopping just to shop.
Mhm.
But the thing is that as a business owner too, at my high seasons and low seasons, I have tax season where where I make, money. Then there may be a
Mhm.
low season where things are slow,
Sure.
At this time, I think I was just trying to, we were okay as far as it's not like we really had any debt as far as what my dad left behind. But of course,
Mhm.
I was saying, if there's anything you need help with to my mom and my sister, I have it. Like, I got you.
Sure. Right.
And during that time it was some going out, it was some, going shopping. But for me, the grieving process, it was talking to people online, because it was different things that I was literally paying because I was hurting so much.
Oh.
At that time I went through a breakup. It
Mhm.
was just like a lot. So I was spending money on other things, and then I realized what I was spending my money on. And I'd be like, wow, snap out. Not snap out of it. That's what I mean. It was for good and bad reasons. It
Sure.
was something to help me get through it, everything I
Mhm.
was going through. But then it's like, I'm like, I can't believe how much money I spent. I could have put a down payment by now. But
Yeah, yeah.
mhm,
Absolutely.
mhm.
So those are some major things that we face, that we may not pay a whole lot of attention to. But what would you say is the biggest challenge when it comes to budgeting or saving money?
The biggest challenge is realizing what you're spending your money on and either cutting back or disciplining yourself. Um,
Mhm.
like there are things me as an example, I'm like, I'm gonna, you know, um, I'm out a lot. Like I'm always running around. So I'm like, okay, I
Mhm.
have food at home, go food shopping, and it's going out to eat, like if I'm with my boyfriend, we just go out to eat, or I'll just buy something, like I might
Right.
surprise him with lunch or dinner, like things like that. And it's like we have food at home. He literally said to me, I hate it. He doesn't like when I spend money. But
Sure.
the biggest thing is like really disciplining yourself. And it's more than just like those $5 coffees at Starbucks, but I don't drink those. I'm just saying most people think by cutting this out, like, yes, that helps, because if you go to Target, they have like literally everything, like for that one price of coffee, or
Mhm.
how you make that macchiato or the latte, or like whatever you have. But it's
Sure.
really realizing and disciplining yourself and being intentional. So
Mhm.
let's say I make a certain amount every week and I decide to put a percentage of that. It's literally not touching it, saying no to certain things.
Mhm.
Just being really strict with yourself and saying like, this is my goal, this is what I have to do. It's like a diet. When you're on a
Right.
diet, you might say I can't have sugar, carbs, this, it's like the same thing.
Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. That is a very, very big challenge. So not having the discipline to not do those things, right? That was something, it's funny you mentioned that, that was something that I started cutting back on. Dunkin'
Mhm.
Donuts was, getting money early in the morning. Then I was buying lunch, and and then definitely the eating out. You would be surprised if you were intentional with that, to see how much money you could actually be saving towards your goals. um, Talk about the importance of goal setting as it relates to gaining that discipline.
Right. So that's a great question to bring up. That's a great topic because with my clients this year, I said I want you to be intentional, and that's like a key word. So it's not like, yeah, I'm going to buy a house, yeah, I'm going to buy a car. So it's like literally this year with my tax clients, I said I've done everything, like, down payments, setting them up with loan officers to see what we need for the game plan, like the
Mhm.
blueprint to get them
Sure.
there. Is this okay with the tax returns? Listen, and I said, I really pray to God you don't take this and blow it. It's not my business, but I pray to God
Right.
because you get a return. That's your down payment, okay?
Right.
But
Absolutely.
the keyword is being intentional because like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over, and we can't be in the same position that we are every single year. Like
Hmm.
what is it going to take for you to change and want to do certain things? So I've realized my goals, I had some downtime. I got sick last year, and me and my mom made an agreement: once you're better, you're getting a house.
Hmm.
Absolutely. What do I need to do to get a house? I need to pay down some debt. I need to save money. I put it myself, like whatever I make, I'm taking this percentage out. I set myself at 20% and it's going to go up to 40%. That's me personally.
Hmm.
And if I take from that savings, I'm looking and keeping track to put it right back.
Got you.
If I have to touch
So
it for
you're
whatever reason,
basic. I
keeping
got you. So
track of
you're basically
everything.
writing down. Okay. So keeping track of everything. I heard you mention like a budgeting sheet. So you would say the steps are to say, okay, this is my goal. These are the things that I need to be putting in place to reach my goal. Right. So
Mhm.
I'm taking a certain percentage. And I've heard 10%, 20% is great, and if you get it to 40%, that's even better.
Mhm.
And knowing that this is something that you don't want to touch until you achieve your goals. Do you put a timeline on these goals? Are they measurable? Like, what would you suggest for our viewers?
I do have a timeline, and it could be because what I'm going to say, like, don't beat yourself up if it's not attainable. Like, let's say you want to get a house by a certain time. The market
Mm-hmm.
is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't beat yourself up because everything happens for a reason. Just be
Sure.
intentional and just be smart about it. I'm not going to say everything happens for a reason when you're trying to save for a house and then you're going to go blow it at Louis Vuitton or Gucci. Like, that was
Woo!
your decision. It wasn't
Right.
an emergency. But what I will say is like that does have some, some wiggle room in it. It does. And I'm very like, yes, I need to hit this goal. So for me personally, it was paying down debt, it was saving as much as I could, and I had a goal in place. So I'm like, all right, when I get paid this week, these are the bills I'm attacking. Boom, off to the next one, playing no games. And
Mm-hmm.
with budgeting, I realized how much money I was spending. Listen, I went out the other weekend. I can't go out for a little bit. Like, I had to get my car, I had to get like a service done on my car. That was crazy expensive. I wasn't expecting to spend that. And that
Of
makes you
course.
want to say, like, it's always something.
It was
It's always
always going to be something.
it's always something. So I'm saying to myself, like, yeah, I don't want to go out for a little bit, but really I'm intentional with what I want to do. what I want, like the goals that I'm attacking. I have this timeline and then that's it. My MacBook is attached to my cell phone. Even though my cell phone's on do
Hmm.
not disturb, do you hear the dinging?
I do.
I don't know how to turn that off. I'm so sorry. But the
You're
phone's on do
fine.
not
No,
disturb.
no worries, no worries. You're good. You dropping some jewels and some knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Do you separate these things into categories? Like, I know you said you have a budgeting sheet. How do you like, if I don't have a budgeting sheet but I'm like doing a journal or keeping track of my spending? Do you have categories for that, or like how do you mind your budget?
So there are different categories, and it's like even with my tax clients, with business owners, I'm like, how much
Mhm.
did you spend on traveling? What's your cell phone bill? What's your utilities? What's your rent? So I'll give you an example. Over the past few weeks, I ate out. I'm just being honest. We went to a really
Mhm.
nice restaurant last weekend for Easter. Resurrection Sunday, we went out. That was expensive. So I'm thinking in my mind, and I'm like, we went out this day, this day, this day, and I added it up. Holy macaroni! I just spent so much on food. That should
Sure.
be out the way for a
Especially
little
if
while.
you're purchasing items to cook, right?
We do, yeah, I do cook. Don't get me wrong, I do cook. But there's, I'm just being honest. I'm sure some of you could attest when you're in a relationship, sometimes, or you're with your significant other, or you're just out, and you don't expect to be with them for that long. You're just like, hey, let's go out to eat, let's do this, or you're just hanging out. You don't
Yeah.
expect it. I do my best to try and meal prep, and
Mhm.
I always have snacks with me, but
So it might be probably helpful, and I found myself doing this, is to have a disposable portion of your budget,
wiggle room
right?
just in
Where
case. Hmm.
all right, I have this on, I will set aside. Absolutely, right? Can y'all hear me? Did I freeze?
You're freezing. I was just about to tell you you're freezing.
Yeah, I don't. Okay. All right. Can you hear me now?
I could hear you. You're just freezing.
I don't know what's going on. I'm sitting in the same spot. You have to love technology. Um, but no, just saying it's best to be, so that you don't have to be hard on yourself about your spending, or you beat yourself up because you looked and you woke up and you spent X, Y, and Z. But if you're setting a budget to say, okay, I would like to have $100 that I'm going to do whatever I want to do with it. That way you can adjust and you can set things so that you don't have to have the emotions or the guilt behind it. Those are just some things that I definitely found myself doing as well. So
Hmm.
that's something that probably would be helpful for our viewers, because we get if you get off track or you're off task, then you feel a little bit defeated. So
Yeah.
what talk let's talk about the things that we want or the things that we need. Like, how would you break that down? Because I think sometimes people's wants, they think, are things that they actually need. But when you're trying to discipline yourself and get a budget together, that because you have a goal you're working on, is that something that you find to be helpful when when you're with people? Because I think people don't know where their money went, and sometimes the bills might get paid, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Just talk about that a little bit, the necessities versus the wants.
Absolutely. So I actually learned this in high school with my high school economics teacher, Mr. Jackson. Shout out to him. And it put a lot of things into perspective, because a lot of times we think we need something, but you actually just want it. So, for example, like you said with Dunkin' Donuts, like you think you have to have that fix in the morning, but then it's like you have coffee and a bagel at home. You could just get from the grocery store, maybe. Or it's like I might say, oh, I need this bag. I don't really need a handbag. I have
Mhm.
a handbag over here, but I do need to pay my mortgage or rent. I do need to go to the store to get dish soap or like, feminine products. Those are needs, or like maybe, napkins or like food. So it's really like what is necessary for you to like survive and do day-to-day things versus, wanting something. Wanting is like a luxury almost, or it's something extra. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Okay. That I love that. Um, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes. You're absolutely right about that. And that is something that I do with I do that exercise with like high schoolers as well as middle schoolers, just talking about um the necessities versus the wants, and you'd be surprised how teenagers will think that certain things are wants versus necessities, or they think that they're necessities when they're really just things that they want to have. So that's huge. um would you do you work with teens or children as well?
I do. And we have financial literacy courses. But yeah, it's like absolutely with kids and teenagers. Like I have a niece that's a
Hmm.
teenager, and it's kind of my fault why she's spoiled. I'm part of the reason, not the whole reason.
Hmm.
But it's like, teenagers, they'll literally be like, I need this because it's like their friends have it, it's what's in. And when you get older and it's like you have a paycheck or whatever you're getting paid, you're literally like, this is what I have.
Right,
What do
it
I
spills
need? And
over.
sometimes some people sacrifice it, like, okay, it's either the light bill or me eating, or it's rent or the car note. Like, so I get it.
Sure.
Hmm.
Absolutely, but the habits that you form in as a high schooler, or even middle school, we get a lot of our habits and things probably from our parents. But as you have these challenges, it just spills over into your adult life, where you don't necessarily understand that there's certain things that are not necessities.
Right.
I speak with my children about the same, like all these clothes. I don't think they're necessities. You want some things, but it spills over into your adulthood, where
You
if
don't
you
even
don't,
wear half of them.
that too, that is another thing. You're not wearing half of this stuff, or we buy expensive handbags and things like that, and then don't have the money to put in it. And that some people got a, well, I'll get it back type mentality. But if
Right.
you're working towards something or you're moving toward a goal, it becomes a little bit difficult to reach it. And if you don't have any of that discipline to even know where your money is going, it just creates setbacks, it creates disappointments, it creates frustrations, because you're just, kind of wandering aimlessly, when it comes to those types of things. So, what would you suggest people do, for the people that are living like a paycheck to paycheck cycle? What would you suggest people do to start budgeting or saving money?
So the biggest thing, and I do this whenever I have a budgeting session, will literally
Mhm.
write out what they make and when they get paid. Is it weekly? Is it bi-weekly? Do you get paid every
Mhm.
month? Like, sometimes with sales commissions jobs, they get paid one big paycheck.
Sure.
Um, and it goes into a certain cycle. So
Mhm.
then I list out the bills and when they're due, and then what. when they get paid, what correlates to that bill, and then what we could save for that week or that time period. Then I
Okay.
assess, like, okay, like, what's your credit card? How could we pay this down? Like, what are your interest rates? Things like that. If, like, we're not meant to live from paycheck to paycheck and, in scarcity, like, that's not how we're meant to live, because, that also brings a lot of stress. Stress
Right.
isn't good. And then it also could bring other side effects like depression, or you feeling less confident, not down on yourself. You're not looking down on yourself. So I would first assess like your bills when they're due, what you usually spend your money on,
Hmm.
and correlating that back to when you get paid. And if you need, extra sources of income, what could you do? Me personally, starting a business was the best thing I could have done. And
Me
I'm
too.
not saying this for everyone, like to just go out and start a business, because, you know, not everyone is meant to be a business owner.
True.
Um, Not everyone's meant to be a business owner. And I'm not saying you don't have it in you. I'm not saying that. But there's, some people, they just don't want to have, do businesses. I have a
Right.
virtual business. So literally the way that I'm speaking to you, I speak to like 95% of my clients, and I don't
Right.
have overhead. I
Right.
have people that work for me, but I don't have to get much supplies besides my office supplies and traveling expenses. So
Right.
there are just certain things like, and I love this because it's like, what could we do to bring you extra income? Let's tap
Right.
into what you're genuinely interested in, what you're passionate
Sure.
about, because, you know, excuse me, do what you have to do to bring in extra money. If you have to pick up a side gig, you
Mhm.
have to do something on the weekend, like, like a I don't know, what's like a little side job or overnight job, do whatever it is that you have to do or whatever you're comfortable with, but also
Mhm.
what could bring you more income passively. There's
Sure.
so many different ways. I can't tell you like how many different ways I've made money, like
Mhm.
referrals, affiliate marketing, my virtual business,
Mhm.
cashback credit cards. There's so many different ways
There are so many different ways, right?
where
And
you don't
it
have to
doesn't have
clock into. Mhm.
right, and it doesn't have to necessarily be that you're going and working a 20-hour job somewhere, but if you have a specific goal and you want to get some things done, it you got to ask yourself, how bad do I want this on a scale of
Right,
1 to 10? 1 is not that important, 10 is extremely important. If it's buying a house, if it's getting a new car, whatever it is, how important is it for me to get these things done? And then how much am I willing to put into making those things happen? Am I
right,
willing to do something part time? Like you said,
right,
a lot of things can be done from your couch. Do I need to do something part time to bring in additional income until I hit my goal or exceed my goal? And then do I maintain that so that I can keep setting additional money goals? I
right.
think people get comfortable and I'm busy getting by, but I'm not busy getting ahead.
Mm,
So that makes people feel like they can't do certain things, and the you just keep ending up pushing back your goals. Well, and then they become, well, I used to want to do this. Or you wake up 5 years from now and it's like, dang, I was supposed to have done X, Y, and Z by now, which just really contributes to more misery. And those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about on our additional shows. But the desire to get things done and not having the money to make it all happen, um, there's ways to combat that.
right.
And I, even with saving money, when I've broken, I'll never forget. I was just putting the money to the side that I would get from change, $20, or
Mm,
taking that and being disciplined. I've seen people do like the money envelopes where they
right,
take certain envelopes and they just put this in there every single week.
Mhm.
I was doing that, just putting the money to the side. I think I bought bunk beds for my kids one year.
Wow.
Just with the change that I was saving over. There's other apps and things where you could take the change and invest it, or whatever the case may be. But we
Money
have to
back.
start.
Mhm.
Yeah, money back. We have to start somewhere, so that we can put ourselves in a different position. And these conversations probably aren't being had as much as they should, so that people have a conscious guide. Um, do you recommend people separating the way that I'm explaining, separating their money, or separating accounts, or
Yes.
like a
Mhm.
savings account, a checking? Like, what do you suggest?
I was actually going to say that because it's like sometimes you have to see it in your mind to
Hmm.
discipline yourself. Like
Absolutely.
if we have money coming from our savings, then it's like, oh, whatever, I'll take it back. Then it's harder to save money than it, and it's so easy to spend. So it's like
Sure.
literally, it's like if you can't touch that, then it's something, if in your head, in your brain that you cannot touch this, what
Hmm.
happens? You get a reward basically. Or like what's the reason that you're saving for? Um Me personally, I have different accounts. I have my business account, I have an account for just bills. I mentioned my savings account, I have a checking account. I have multiple accounts because to me it's literally all being separated. That way it's out of sight, out of mind. And if you keep things organized, like what you said with the envelope system,
Hmm.
like, okay, this is to my car, done. This is to my rent or mortgage, done. That's out of the way. This is to, this is what I'm going to spend this weekend, done. This is to the emergency account, done. So you could literally separate and see those results. That's almost like, you know, I noticed when I was on a diet, I was doing amazing when I didn't see the
Nice.
bad food in my house, the ice cream, the cookies, things like that. What happens when I see it? I'm being honest, I don't have discipline in that area all the time. I don't. I see it,
Right.
I'm gonna want it. It's the same
Right.
thing.
Sure. Absolutely. And that's something key that I've heard people say is
Mhm.
with food, but it can really apply to finances as
Multiple
well.
areas.
Multiple areas where it's like, if you know that I love X, Y, and Z, it's
Keep
probably
it away
best
from me.
that you get away from it, right? If you know
Mhm.
that you're looking to go buy the next pair of Jordans, it's probably just best that you skip the store if you have a goal, or if you're saving up for something. It's the same with food. If the snacks are in my face, I feel compelled to eat them. If
Uh-huh.
I'm going out and going shopping, then I'm putting myself in a position where I know I'm going to spend,
Right.
right? So, um how I think we talked about measurable goals, but do you have any like apps or anything that you use, or are you just writing things down on like paper? How do you, because I
I
know
do.
everybody's into technology and how to simplify things.
Me personally, I'm a little old school. Like I have to write things down or else I might forget it. Like I have lists even in my phone. If I have to go to a grocery store so I don't forget something, what it might be, like what bill to pay, or what I have to do for the day. But I also, that's me personally, I write it down. It seems like more attainable like when you write it down. I don't
I
know
like
why.
to be able to check things off. I'm somebody
I have
that.
my highlighter, check it off. Yep, highlight it off. So there are apps, and especially as a business owner,
Mhm.
I like Intuit QuickBooks.
Oh,
It's
nice.
Intuit is spelled INTUIT.
Hmm.
There are plans and there is a monthly fee, but especially for business owners, like you could literally take your phone, you go like this, you could snapshot your receipts and put it in there. And the tally is good. Even in my phone, like I'll have it organized in my notes. Not all the time, I'm working on it, but like I have different albums or different folders. Well, I'll literally be like, this food, this gas receipts, this maybe clothing. So there are a few different ways. Me personally, I write things down and I like those apps.
Right. It sounds really, really good. And if you are having something that you can look back at, like I think something that's really, really key is to identify your habits first. And so if you do that for, say you do that for 30 days and you see where you land, then you know what you have to tweak for the next 30 days or the next 60, 90 days, however long that you have this savings goal. It could be a year, it could be 3 years, whatever it is, but you have to start with self analysis so that you can see, where you're going or what is it that you're spending money on. These subscriptions, for me, those have been huge to just get rid of. What in the world do we need all of these subscriptions for? I know people like Netflix and Hulu and all of this stuff. Pick one that you watch the most, right? And keep
Yeah.
that one. But these are small little adjustments that you can make so that you can start putting that toward other things and saving and then if you look at it yearly for these subscriptions that are costing $14 to $15 a month, and you look up at the end of the year and you've spent X, Y, and Z, it really does add up. Do you recommend that um that people, because I always talk to people about this, and with the paycheck to paycheck cycle, it can be a little bit difficult, but talk about paying yourself first. Why it would be important to pay yourself first so that you can be in a better position.
That's a great topic. And I was actually thinking about speaking about this earlier,
Hmm.
especially as a business owner.
Sure.
The thing is with paying yourself first, is like you're paying every single person but yourself. So you're paying this person, you're paying that person. What about you? What about Elissa? What about Sally? What about Letha? Like what about you? So
Hmm.
you have, once you get that out of the way, and then it's to everyone else. Me personally, like, in church, we also tithe, we give back to God. So that's me personally. So I set those up, I set everything up. But as a business owner, especially, like, what do I have to show for it?
Sure.
It's like, you're, some people are just like literally making money just to pay bills and that's it. Like you have nothing to
Right.
show for it. So, and I say this to my clients also, you have to start paying yourself, because it's easier on your tax returns too. Like
Hmm.
there's a way you could pay yourself. Let's say you make 1,000 a week, hypothetically. It's just like a soft number. you
Hmm.
know, you're putting a certain amount towards savings, put a certain amount towards bills. You could literally pay yourself as an employee.
Hmm.
And then at tax season, it's easier and you're not owing a bunch of money. Does that
Right.
make sense?
It makes a
So
whole lot of sense.
you got to put yourself first, guys.
Yep. I
Mhm.
always say if you save money, one day money will save you. And
Right.
and if you develop these habits and these disciplines to put these things in place, that's just really what the journey has been about, is to look at blind spots that you might not be conscious of. Is my money mindset right? Do I have what it takes to have the disciplines that I need to make certain things happen? So I think that those are all really, really important steps. What I like about you, Alyssa, is that while you are helping others to get things together, you're being transparent about your own journey and your own things that you are working on. I think it's important to note that just because we have the experiences and we're able to do some things, life hits all of us.
Yeah.
Struggles hit all of us, unexpected car repairs hit all of us, and
Hmm.
things have a way of setting you back. But the resilience and the way that you build yourself back up to get back on track is what is important. Nobody's saying, hey, this is written in stone, life is gonna
Right.
happen. But your ability to respond to it in a way that doesn't set you back for long
Mhm.
periods of time is what's important. So it might be good to have something for emergencies. You know, I tell people all the time, have 3 to 6 months of your salary saved so that if the car
Absolutely.
dies, if the roof leaks, or whatever goes wrong, you're not putting yourself in a situation of like setback. And it seems like things can spiral out of control where you kind of catch your breath from one thing, and then there's some other things that take place. So I really appreciate you, you know, being transparent about your own journey. And you know, I think that that makes you relatable for the audience members who are listening in. But it is a key to break this down. You have access to, you said, some budgeting sheets. Am I
Mhm.
correct?
I
So
said mhm.
go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine, darling. Go ahead.
What I was going to say, yes, I have a wonderful person named Jaleesa. She helped, and Amber, they helped me make these budgeting sheets.
Mhm.
Because I'm actually coming out with a budgeting book. I want you guys to see like where you're spending your money, separate it, have these goals, everything. And you know what? Sometimes you have to say no. I'll give an example. I have a friend I had services with, I'm paying her. And then I was like, holy mackerel, I spent a lot of money. And I was like, I literally don't have anything that I need from you right now.
Right, right.
There's nothing. And she's like, hey, I'm having a sale. But that's amazing. I hope you hit your goal. I personally don't have anything I need right now. Someone else,
Right.
like I always try to support people, buying plates, buying, especially my clients, like
Mhm.
buying food, like, I'm like, I literally can't, I'm out. I'm
It's
not even going
okay
to
to
be
say
around.
no,
It's
right?
okay to say no. You could listen. I want you guys to know you could support in other ways. There's
Sure.
different ways you could support, but also like something that I want to bring up is that you have to secure yourself in other ways. When we were speaking about additional sources of income, like there is something called supplemental insurance. I'm just going to bring this up to you guys, especially living paycheck to paycheck, and God forbid something happens. This is a little off topic, but you guys need to hear it. Supplemental insurance is it's not insurance through like your regular medical insurance. You know what supplemental insurance is, right? So it's like, let's say something happens, I get into an accident, I put a claim in, I, put in the discharge paperwork, the doctor's note, you get paid for that. You could get paid in addition, like from your time off work or medical bills. Like, I'm just being transparent. Last year I was diagnosed with cancer. I had a cancer policy that was in place. Something happened. I had to have surgeries, and it did help. Things did help, having insurance plans that you could take money out from. So those are just other ways. I'm not saying this to like, get rich off of, but there's different ways to help you. God forbid something happens. So it's important, and it's not that expensive. It's really not. One of my
Beautiful.
plans is
That's
$9.60 a month.
right. Well, a
Hmm.
lot of employers. Mhm.
I'm sorry, you
Absolutely.
froze.
Very, very reasonable. So if the because we are wrapping up, if our viewers wanted to get in contact with you, to even take a look at, oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You
You
just
can hear
froze a
me?
minute ago. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear
All
me?
right. So
Okay.
tell we're I can hear you. We are wrapping up the show. Tell the viewers how they can get in contact with you, or even get samples of your budget sheet, or you know, stay in contact for when you release your book. How can they reach you?
Okay, well, I have social media. So my social media is She Does Credit. My name on Facebook is right what you see over there, Elissa Costanza. And I have a
Mhm.
website, shedoescredit.com.
Okay. All right. So you have heard some really good things here today as it pertains to getting started. You do not have to be an expert at this stuff. You just have to get started, right?
That's it.
And start tweaking and paying attention to what it is that you're doing with your finances so that you know how to move forward, what you need to cut out, what you need to change, what you've thrown away. And it may take you writing it down in a little notebook every time you purchase something, or like she said with the receipts, into it, where you start taking inventory of what it is that you're spending your money on, just so that you can tweak those habits. So I can't thank you enough for joining us today. I
Thank you
really
so much for
appreciate you
having
carving
me.
out some time. Yeah, for carving out some time to meet with us, and I will definitely be engaging with you moving forward. I try to have relationships with everybody that comes on the show, and we may do something where we get you back for like our entrepreneur spotlight or something along those lines. So I look forward to networking with you moving forward. So for the Your Money Matters Financial Empowerment family, we thank you for tuning in. We thank you for watching. And as we continue to move the culture forward, we hope that you will tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tune in to these powerful, impactful empowerment moments as we seek to get our money world right. So I thank you all and have a good night.
CMPRadio.net, it's the station. Listen, man, let's cultivate together. Bring us all your show ideas. Content creators, we're looking for that. Videographers, we're looking for that. You can be a part.